Hello, crafty friends.
Shalon here with the Principal Cuttable Creatables design team, back with some project inspiration, project idea for you. This is especially helpful for anybody who is a teacher out there or would like to use cut files and put your own text over it and use the print and cut feature. This is also really helpful for any kind of parties, or if you're going to do like a dinner party and you want to have cute name tags at everybody's place. Really, it's whatever you whatever you want, whatever you can think of. I have used the same technique in so many different ways throughout the years, and I'm excited to share it with you. The theme in my classroom, I am a teacher, the theme in my classroom is adventure at weights. Mountains is what I'm using this year in my classroom, and so the I'd rather be camping bundle has been incredibly awesome for me this year. So what I like to do is I like to open up the bundle, and then I like to use the SVGs that are assembled. That is personally what I like to use. And then here I'm going to use this Mountains Assembled SVG. So I'm going to click OK to merge that into my silhouette cameo. Then I'm going to click on the bottom one, which is really geared towards vinyl, and I'm just going to delete that one because I do not need it. And then I'm going to take this guy and I am going to make him larger. I usually like to have my files for my classroom whenever I use them to label things to be about like 4x6, 6x4. It's just kind of what I go off of. That's just what fits better in my room. And so I'm going to use this measurement here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up my paper for printing and cutting. So first of all, here I'm going to go to the media size and I'm going to change it to letter because I have some simple recollections white cardstock from Michaels that I'm going to be printing off of, and I'm also using my registration marks. Then I come down here to advanced options and I like to move the left inset, top inset, and right inset all the way left. Do not touch bottom inset because in my experience, whenever you start messing with the bottom inset, it doesn't print correctly on the page and you just don't get a good print and cut. Next, what I am going to do is I just want the mountains for this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ungroup the file and I'm going to take this bit of green grass and I'm actually going to move it over here because I want to use that for some coloring that I plan on doing a little bit later. And I want to delete these trees. If you want them, if they're something that you want to be a part of your design, then by all means, please leave that. Next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to regroup everything and I'm just going to check the sizing. And it is a little bit smaller than I want. So I'm just going to go up here to the height and I'm going to make sure that right here, this lock shows that it is locked because I want to keep the aspect ratio when I resize this whole file, and this is the size that I want because like I said, I want to try to keep it to be around 4x6. Then before I forget, I'm going to come up here to the send panel and I'm going to click cut edge. If I don't do this early on, I know myself and I know that I will be cutting out all these little individual pieces when I don't want to be cutting out all these individual pieces. So I always just try to do this right away so I don't forget. Then I'm going to click the design tab to go back to the design and I'm going to click the alpha. So what I like to do is I very much enjoy putting their names and their birth dates over their cubbies or their lockers or their closet spaces, their hooks, so then it kind of serves a dual purpose in my classroom. So I'm not going to be sharing the actual names of anybody in my classroom, for privacy's sake, but I'm just going to be making up some. So let's use the name Vanessa. And I like to highlight highlight the name, and then I like to make sure that I change both the line, and I want to have it be in dark gray, and the fill, the line color and the fill color. And also I like to choose a fun font, and I think I'm going to go with AG Dry Shampoo. This is actually an Amy Grosbeck font, and you can find it on tpt.com, teacherspayteachers.com. It's a great place to find fonts. Even if you're not a teacher, they have some really great fonts there. A lot of them are free for personal use, but you can also buy a commercial license if you're interested. If you're a seller or anything like that, they also have commercial licenses available. So that's just a little tip there to check out. I know that there's tons of places where you can get fonts, but this is just one more. Then again, I go to the send panel and I click on the text, and I make sure that it is on cut edge because I do not want to have a bunch of teeny tiny little pieces there. Actually, excuse me, correction, no cut, because then what I do is I like to select that. Let me clear out this page setup panel, and I like to go to the offset, and I click on the offset, and I kind of like that, but you can go up and down depending on how much of a border you would like to have. And then I'm going to click apply. And then what I do here is I right click on the edge of the offset. I slide down to release compound path. And then I click on the edge of the offset again, because as you can see, then it groups in the little pieces there. And I like to delete those because then it just leaves a nice bubble around the text. Something else that you can do here is if you want it to be a more broad bubble, and I just zoomed in so you could see it a little bit better, is if you double click on the lines here, you get what is called point editing. And let's say that I wanted to make it so it didn't go in and create this little bit of a valley, but I wanted a connection just kind of like down here. I can click on this point and I can delete whatever point that I want. So I don't want that one, I don't want that one, I don't want that one, and then I could say I don't want that one. And do you see how just by getting rid of a few of those points, I get to have this nice bubble here? So if that's something that you want to do, that's also an option for you. I'm going to get rid of my point editing screen. I'll get rid of my offset screen for right now, resize it to my window, and then what I like to do is I like to click on the offset line again and then come back up here with my eyedropper, and then I like to get the green. That's why we kept this green, because I wanted that green to fill the offset line there. So again, here we go. Okay, and then what I like to do is I like to group it so I can move it as one piece, and then go over here to my send panel, and again just make sure that I have it set on cut edge. Okay, because I like to have that cut edge. But actually I think I'm going to switch it to no cut because I'm going to place it here. And I don't want everything to get cut out. Checking your work in this send panel is something that I can't recommend enough to make sure that you do. So I just made it a little bit smaller because I don't want it to go outside of my mountain ranges. And then what you can do again is if you want to include like a birthday, or if you wanted to include, I don't know, anything that you wanted to include, like table 1, if you're doing a table setting or something like that, you can repeat this same process. So I'm just going to pretend that I'm doing a birthday, and let's make it, I don't know, June 17th. And I'm just going to repeat the same process. I click on it, I change my font to, I picked AG Dry Shampoo, again, which is Amy Grosbeck font. Go here, and now my colors are saved so I can fill in my colors. I'm going to make it a little bit smaller because I know that I want it to be a little bit smaller. I go back over here to my offset panel, offset, and and I accidentally clicked it twice. My bad. So I'll just delete that outer one. Here is my inner one. I like it. I'm going to go over to my line color. I'm going to select it, select the same colors. I don't need to repeat the process because it did save it. Go over here to my send panel. Again, if you want to cut it out, you want to click cut edge so it does cut out just around the outside edge. But since I'm going to group everything together here, I'm going to click no cut so it's not there. And same thing here with my individual text, no cut. There we go. And then I'm going to select everything, group it, and then move it up here. And here we go. Now, just for ease, I do like to select everything and group everything. I'm going to flip back to the design panel just because I think for this part it's a little bit easier. And then I always like to maximize the space on the page. So what I do is I would make, let's say, you know, Jim and Sally are also in my class or also guests to my party. And then I would just kind of play with the actual designs, and I'd like to spin them because as long as everything's grouped, once they cut out, it doesn't really matter how you cut them out. As long as they fit on the page, you can maximize your materials. I remember I am on a teacher budget here, so if I can get more than one on a page, then I'm going to definitely try. And then I always just like to make sure that nothing is overlapping, nothing is touching, nothing is too close to the edge. And 3, I think, is about the best that I can do. And then from here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to print it out. And I will cut it, and I will show you a little bit of that footage. And also a little tip is if you are a teacher or if you just want to add a little bit of sturdiness is you can laminate it first. Laminate it first and then run it through your silhouette machine, and it will cut out both the laminate and the cardstock if you just set your silhouette or your cutting machine to do it as an additional pass, an additional time, and it'll cut everything out for you. So I will see you guys at the desk. Here we go. All right, friends, we are back on the craft desk, and I have successfully printed and cut my my sheet. And as you can see, everything was printed pretty cleanly. So what I'm going to do is I have some laminate, and this is just Scotch thermal laminate, and you can get it on Amazon. I've gotten it at Target. I've gotten it lots of different places. And what I like to do is I like to place it in here, and then I'm going to run it through my Scotch laminator. Now I have used this same laminate on my Heidi Swap mink, and I have the original mink from when it first came out, but either one will work. I also know that people have used the Amazon Basics laminator and laminating sheets, and also have had similar results. So it's just basically whatever you have on hand, whatever fits your budget. But I definitely like to laminate when I want a little extra durability, or if I don't want the colors to run. I know that there have been times that I have done various party favors and a splash of juice or a little bit of condensation off of a water bottle can cause all the colors to run. So if you don't want that to happen, then running something through the laminator will prevent all of that from happening. So it's a hot laminate, just so you know. So be careful when you're working on your surface that you are on a heat protected surface. So I'm just going to shut this off because now this is finished, and we are going to set it up to cut on my silhouette. So something that I recommend doing is making sure that when you line up your sheet that has been laminated, you are lining up the cardstock and not the laminate. Okay, again, you want to make sure you're lining up the cardstock on the edges here, not the laminate. So what I'm doing is I'm making sure that the cardstock is aligned because that will skew your results, and it may also not allow it to register properly on the machine. So be mindful that if you don't have a super sticky mat, that as these bits are getting cut out, they will get loose. So if you don't have a good stick behind these guys, that they might mess up your cut as well, because I have done that as well. All right, so I'm going to show you loading it and going through the process of registering it, because I have, knock on wood, have not had any problems with it registering more than I would say normal. Occasionally, you know, it comes out that it doesn't want to read what is registered. So I'll just take you through that process right now. I'm going to my send panel. I'm just confirming that I have cut edge selected on all three of the files, and I am setting it on my cut settings for regular cardstock. And my regular cardstock, again, only has one pass, and because it is a laminate, I'm putting it at 2 passes. That means it's going to do 2 cuts around. And I'm clicking send right now. So here we go. And as you can see, the registration does appear to be working, and it will cut out my project in just a moment. All right, friends, let's just recenter you here. And as you can see, it did a pretty good job of cutting everything out. So the one thing that I do like to do that I actually did not do is I do like to sometimes pull it off of the mat, like do a little test, because then I can run it back through if I didn't get a good cut. So like right here, I'm having a little sticky problems here. So if I didn't get a good cut, I can run it back through. So that's a little tip, that if you do a little test and see if it comes off before you unload it, then you can run it back through as often as you want until you get the cut that you like. So like there, that just popped right off. There you go, super sticky mat. Again here, popped right out. And then the last one. There we go. So I hope that you like this, and then use this for whatever usages that you can apply it to. Happy crafting, friends. Bye.